We need the workers, not the work. Listen to the latest episode of our podcast in which we discuss the importance of workers to your business, where to find them, and what mistake business owners make when it comes to hiring people. This and a whole lot more on this episode of the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast.
Investing in real estate can be full of pitfalls. Don't end up as another horror story on Mike Reilly's Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast. Hi, I'm Mike Ferrante with Century 21 Homestar and the 21 Mike team, serving buyers and sellers all over the state of Ohio. We specialize in helping investors buy and sell real estate, so before you make another move, go to 21mike.com to schedule an appointment. The 21 Mike team, your one-stop shop for buying and selling.
Hi, everybody. It's Mike Reilly with my partner, Mike Ferrante. And we've got a very interesting podcast for you. Mike, how you doing? A couple days before the July 4th break.
Yeah, ready for a little break. I know you guys like to talk about our caffeination levels, so I just had a double espresso in preparation of this podcast, Mike.
All right. Well, look, what we're going to talk about is a phenomenon which I think everybody has been experiencing, supply chains, inflation, if you're running a business, whether it's a realty business or just a regular small business, or you're working for a company, everybody knows that it's hard to find good help. Right, Mike?
100%. That's the big thing we hear from everybody. I want to do more, but I can't find people.
Okay, so we don't need the work. We need the workers. Okay, and that's the title of this episode. And you're in the real estate business. I'm in the contracting business. We work together on property development and stuff like that. And I am constantly getting bombed from people who are asking me if they need help selling their house, right? I don't know how they're getting this number, but they're getting this number. And, once we take a house off the market or it's no longer there, all of a sudden it's like I just opened the screen door and there's an open garbage can. All of a sudden the flies come in. The calls are relentless. So here's all these people looking for listings. And it just sort of dawned on me last week that if you have somebody who's looking to sell their house, they're probably also looking for other people, right? Like window washers, landscapers, the one-stop shop. Am I correct, Mike?
100%. We talk about that all the time. Okay,
so let's put 2 and 2 together and get 4 and not get 2, which is, okay, you're looking to sell your house. You're a realtor. You have your own business. You've got to look at the way to get listings is to offer a one-stop shop. Okay, where you've got subs that you're kind of a contractor / realtor. Now, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know if you realize this, Mike, but years ago I heard you coin that term, and that's now our tagline. It's the 21 Mike team, your one-stop shop for buying and selling, and the check is in the mail. Yeah, but the one-stop shop to people, if they're looking for a realtor, does that include, hey, we'll get your grass cut, we'll do this, we'll get that, we'll do that, we'll do that. Do they fully understand what that one-stop shop means? If it's coming at you from Century 21? Well, the tagline alone doesn't do it, but let me put it a different way. I was at a training session once, and the coach was up on stage, and he said, look, if your clients are out there on Google looking for a landscaper, looking for a window washer, then you have failed. You should be Google for your clients. They shouldn't be Googling. They should be asking you, hey, Mike, I need this. Who do you have? But that is a bigger message that has to be explained more. A tagline alone doesn't do it. Well, maybe the tagline should be more than just a realty company. Total one-stop shop. Get it ready to sell and sell it. Grip it and rip it. Whatever. I'm not here to micromanage or the Team Mike thing. You got a really good operation. I'm just more struck by how Look, it's out there. It's in the marketplace. It's in the zeitgeist, whatever you want to call it. People can't find workers.
right?
Well, and they don't want to. They don't want to be tasked with, I walk into their house and say, okay, do A, B, and C. And then they look at me and say, well, who do you have to do this work? And if I shrug my shoulders and say, well, I don't know, figure it
Well,
out.
then you don't ask the question. Hey, look at, maybe you start out the question. The first question is, hey, I've got a whole team that can do all of this stuff for you. You need to do, then you start saying, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, because everybody is struggling with that now. And, I mean, with our VA team in the Philippines, Melanie and Clarice, I mean, boy, people call and you get right back to them. They're just blown away because the bar is so low here. And if you can get back to them, if you can come in there and you can problem solve the whole problem, you got yourself a job. And I think people just aren't putting two and two together, that there is all these lemons there. The lemons are, I can't get workers. You can make lemonade out of that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think it has to be, that conversation has to happen. People don't want to do their own homework. They want someone to do their homework for them. So I think that as a business owner, whether you're a realtor, contractor, whatever, you have to lead with exactly what you said. Hey, you have a need. Here's how I can solve your whole need. I mean, that's what we are, Mike. We're consultants. We're problem solvers.
Right. Exactly. And I think this is, keep in mind, everybody, this is not being taught in school. What's not being taught in school, if I'm not making that connection clear enough, is listening to what the market wants. The market doesn't want to hear how smart you are, what your GPA is. The market wants A and B and C. Do you know what the market wants? So let's just say you've got your real estate license. Now you're going out there and you're going to start selling houses. You know what also you should be prepared to do? Be a contractor. Okay? Because that's what the market wants. The market wants somebody to sell their house, but also get all these things repaired. And that's, put that hat on. Don't say, I'm just a realtor. Oh, I don't do that. I don't do that. Why don't you just take a gun and shoot yourself? In terms of, in terms of being successful at whatever. If you're not able to change and adapt, forget it. Okay? Forget it. It's not going to work.
Yeah. Mike, let me tell a quick story. So we just sold a house in Solon. And when I met this guy, he's an entrepreneur. Okay. Busy guy, travels all over the world selling his product. I don't even remember what the product is. He and his wife just built a house and they found me online. I go there, I talk to them. They started asking me questions like, well, we really think we should paint this room and do this and do that. But to be able to tell them, look, you guys worry about moving, I'm going to take care of everything else. That took the weight off their shoulders. It made them not even talk to another realtor.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I learned that, 30 years ago when we changed our name from Reilly Painting Company to Reilly Painting and Contracting. We changed our logo to the Home Mechanics because we were the one-stop shop, the floating hardware store. That's why Amazon is so successful. I mean, if you had bought stock in Amazon 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you put $1,000, bought Amazon stock, you'd be a millionaire now. Because Amazon recognized that people online, they just want to go one place and get everything they need. It's taken the Walmart and the Sears. I mean, look at Sears. Anybody remember Sears? JCPenney? Okay, they're out of business now if they're not adapting. But I don't want to get too cosmic here, but you're absolutely right. You look at, if you get to the hot word, which is, I just need somebody to get my house sold and do all these different things. Bingo. You don't need to be making 100 phone calls and asking and getting hung up on and getting people yelling at. You don't need to do that to get listings. What you need is to change your approach.
Yeah, my wife just did this with her doctor, Mike. So our primary care physician just retired, And my wife is a busy person. And so when she was looking for a new doctor, she found this concierge service. And, I think we're all worried. Business owners are always worried, oh, is my price too high? Are people going to say no? So this concierge service is $2,400 a year that you pay. This is not against your deductible. You just pay them. And that's for the privilege of being part of their system. That's to be a patient of theirs. Now, what you get in return for that is if you go to the doctor and they say, oh, well, you need to go see a pulmonary expert. It's not like, okay, well, here, go find someone. No, this concierge service says, well, we recommend this doctor. Are you free on Wednesday at 2:00? We'll schedule the appointment for you.
There you go.
For $2,400 a year, that's what you get.
Filling a need.
Yep.
Filling a need. Navigating through the medical establishment. But again, understanding how the market's shifting, the winds are shifting, right? Robotics, you're going to have more. Let's just riff off the fact that we can't get workers. What do? Robotics, farm stuff off to VAs in the Philippines to cover the phone. AI's coming down the pike. The market, sharp people out in the marketplace, they're adapting. There's no more, a lot of restaurants don't even do sit down. They do takeout. They do DoorDash because they can't get waiters and waitresses. And that's what happens. That's, it's no accident that after COVID and people weren't dining out, that a lot of restaurants realized I'm actually losing money if I have a wait staff, right?
Yeah, and they found they were more profitable during that downtime when they were just doing carry out. It's kind of like you did with your business, Mike, when you analyze, well, where am I making money? And surprisingly, I remember sitting in your office and you looked at me and you said, guess what my most profitable job was? And I'm like, I don't know, a big kitchen remodel? And you said, no, gutter cleaning. In, out, bing, bang, boom, small dollars, but profitable. Same thing with these restaurants. They were realizing, wow, we're making more money with no staff, just sending food out the door. Right.
And you know what I also said when you asked me where am I making money? I'm not making money on that big kitchen remodeling job. It's $100,000 job, and I probably end up making $5,000 when it's all said and done. Nothing but stress, nothing but whether the worker's going to show up, whether the tile is going to broken. You got 50 different moving parts, as opposed to just going out and maybe doing maybe a week's worth of repairs. I just made $10,000. Not 5,000.
Yep.
So understand your numbers. And let's just segue into, okay, where do you find these workers? Well, one way you find workers is you reach out to people that have their own businesses and are literally suffocating, drowning. They got more work they can handle. They're answering the phone, they're doing the bookkeeping, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're hiring somebody doesn't show up. They're working 80 hours and they're probably ended up making $10 an hour. Okay. Or you realtors out there. I mean, how many hours are you spending every week? Just write it down. Okay. I'm getting in my car. I'm going to go see this prospect. Okay. That's 4 hours. I'm going here. I'm doing this. I'm doing the phone. Okay. Add them all up. Add all those hours up and keep track all month. And then ask yourself, what did you just make? Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. If you've been listening to this podcast, then you understand or should understand the pitfalls of investing in Cleveland real estate. Say you're looking for an investment property to rent, and these are the things that could happen and often do. You overpay for a house, and it's in the ghetto. Then you find that it's a money pit with endless surprise repairs. Your hapless property manager, who may be the brother-in-law of the realtor, gets a tenant who after 3 months stops paying the rent. Then the toilet explodes, and you have nobody to repair it because, guess what? The property manager is not answering the phone. Yep, that's the ugly side of the Cleveland real estate market. But we have a solution. Buy one of our properties. It's been inspected. It's been vetted. It's in a rock-solid part of town. It comes with a Gold Star tenant. paying top dollar rent, and we manage it. Call us at 216-371-8160 if you're interested. You'll probably find you work 50 hours a week, 4 weeks, 2,000, and you made a $2,000 commission net after expenses. That's $10 an hour, right, Mike?
We do that calculation all the time, and it's sad. People think that realtors are overpaid, but
they are overpaid, Mike.
Well, for some of us are. For
Not Adam Kaufman, baby. he's on the phone with his masseur working him, right?
Well, all I know is that I think you're right. I think what people miss, both the brokers and the general public, and this applies to many different businesses, is they don't factor in all of the time that you're not doing income producing activities. So like you said, driving to the appointment, doing the paperwork behind the scenes, making phone calls. Those are all things that don't directly attribute to income. So all they see is, oh, well, I spent 2 hours showing houses and I wrote a contract and bam, I got a commission. Yeah, well, that's like the tip of the iceberg of the number of hours that you spend. Right. So I think it's really important to track that time and really understand what you're making per hour.
Exactly. And people do not ask yourself, everybody listening to this podcast, do you know what you actually make per hour? Okay. It's like losing weight. Count the calories. Count the calories. How much are you working out every day? What's the negative on that? And then look at the numbers. You just picked up a piece of, I think I'll have that cheesecake at, what's that? Cheesecake Factory. Why am I struggling with that? I mean, there are literally pieces of cheesecake at the cheesecake. One piece, 2,000 calories.
Good God.
2,000, one piece. And you know who's lining up to buy them? 80% of them are people that weigh 400 pounds. I mean, just do the math. I mean, it's what you eat versus how you work out. I'm not trying to make that, I know people struggling with weight, people struggling to make money, but at the end of the day, they're not aware of the numbers. The numbers and then once you look at the numbers, you can ask yourself a more informed decision about where is the money going? How is my hours being set? Those priorities. And for a lot of people out there, workers, if you can get them to have a conversation and understand the work, what they're making, what the hours spent, the stress levels, etc., you could present them a package where, hey, work Monday to Thursday, 10-hour days, and 20 to 25 an hour. You make 1,000, we'll throw in this, we'll throw in that. You can do some side work, and all of a sudden you're making, 5,000 to 6,000 a month. Now compare that to what you're making and how many hours you're spending and the stress level. If you can actually have a conversation with somebody like that, they're going to want to work with you, not for you, with you, because you're adding value to them coming into work now. You don't have to work. Go ahead.
I wish you could look at the notes I have next to me, because as you were having this conversation, I wrote down the word value. I just had a conversation with someone I'm going to hire. She's a teenager, about to be a senior, making $20 an hour at Mitchell's Ice Cream. Love their ice cream, but face it, is Mitchell's Ice Cream really a stimulating job? What's the value to her for her future in working at Mitchell's? I flat out told her, look, I can't pay you $20 an hour. So I think that there's a misconception out there that, oh, well, Mike, the reason I can't get help is because I can't afford to pay $30 an hour to some, 18-year-old kid. Well, guess what? It's not just about the hourly rate. It's the value of the job that you create. Are they learning something? Do they have freedom to work from home sometimes. Like in my case, my people work remotely. They don't have to drive to work. They don't have to go to an office. In fact, they can stay in their PJs all day and work.
Right.
That's value. There's different kinds of value besides a wage.
Let me just digress, everybody, but I'm thinking of one of my favorite rants are these Enron CEOs, CFOs, these corner suite people that making 50 million. And there's stories abound over the last decade about board of directors saying, well, we've got to pay this kind of money or we won't be able to get top talent. That is bullshit. And you know why? Because I could put an ad out and say, instead of paying you 50 million a year with stock options and this and that, you know what? I'll pay you 2 million, but you get a private jet. Okay. And you get a personal assistant and you get X and you get Y. I would have a line out the door of hungry men and women, street smart, who would kill for a job like that, who probably are thinking outside the box and put the in. And you know what? It's sort of like what one company did. Roger Corman, when he was making horror movies, wasn't spending 10 million a picture. He was spending 500,000, and he was just knocking them out of the park. So that value comes in. It's not just the money. The money's important. Sometimes I wonder, though, about your 18-year-old, whether, I'm learning something. Are they really interested in learning something as opposed to some immigrant who comes across the border or who's coming in? I mean, these people are hungry. They are hungry for an opportunity. And when you start saying, I'm going to teach you something, I'll tell you one thing. Both ears are open, and they're taking notes left and right. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that it's a true statement, what you just said, and not everybody is going to respond that way. Like I've heard stories, people say, oh, we were paying X amount, and they said, oh, no, that's not enough money. And so certainly there's a share of the workforce that is just interested in that paycheck. They don't care about being stimulated. They don't care about being educated. They don't want to be challenged. They want to punch a clock, get a paycheck, go home. Those aren't the people that we're looking for. If we're entrepreneurs and our conversation is about there's not enough help out there, it's also about finding the right people. Because Mike, you and I both know one of the biggest expenses that we have as employers is bringing on and training new employees. So one of the most expensive mistakes that we make is hiring the wrong person.
Exactly.
So hiring the right person and finding someone who's hungry for that knowledge, wherever they come from, it's so important. But making sure they understand the value of the job they're looking for. Someone whose first question is, how much does this job pay? Probably not a good hire, right?
Right. No, I would not. Nowadays, I wouldn't hire that person. What I would hire is somebody who, one thing we've been very successful for the last couple of years, we're hiring people part-time. We've got people that are semi-retired. They just want to work 2 or 3 days a week. They like fixing up they like fixing up their house. So look if you can get 5 people who are in their 60s, they're retired, they're getting Social Security, they just want to keep keep them busy, keep their hands busy, their mind active, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, they can come in, they can put a vanity in, they can do X, they can do Y, they can fix a sash cord, they can do a little light tile work, nothing just super strenuous. It's not like they're replacing a roof, but they're friendly. And you know what? If you pay them, a decent wage, that 20 to 25, depending on the complexity, fine. They're happy. They're happy because they actually have a job that will say, hey, work 2-3 days a week. You don't have to work Monday to Friday and keep your Saturdays open. And it's a perfect job for them. And everybody's happy. Customers are thrilled. Right. And now you're looking at somebody, you're breaking the mold. You're looking at somebody who's retired, who's older, ageism. I'll do that all day. These people are just they have such great attitudes.
Yeah. And the value to them is that flexibility. I know a guy who works a couple hours a week here and there at Home Depot, and Does he get paid a ton of money? No. But when he needs time off, when he wants a weekend free to spend with the grandkids, he's able to do it. I'm not saying Home Depot is the best place to work, but he gets value by being there and he gets a little paycheck. So he's happy.
Right. So that's one box that you didn't think about. I mean, we've got ads running right now in the Plain Dealer. I mean, literally the paper people pick up at the store. I mean, this is old school advertising, not Craigslist, not what are some of these hiring?
The online. Yeah. Indeed, Monster. Yeah.
Oh, bullshit. I mean, there's nothing there. So the one bucket is the really old school. The second bucket is look at everything that's being done and ask yourself, can I give that to a virtual assistant in the Philippines, in India, in Mexico, somebody who's working remotely, cover the phone. I mean, you could put a Blink camera up. They can keep an eye on XYZ. They can be there. I mean, I was even thinking when my wife and I went to this indie film theater, the Cedar Lee in Cleveland Heights, they're struggling to find somebody to take tickets. You could set up a Blink camera, a monitor, and somebody remote in the Philippines to be the ticket taker electronically. Right?
Yeah. So, Mike, let me ask you a question. And I know what I think about this, but I'm going to ask you a question that's probably going to aggravate you a little bit.
I'm already aggravated. Go ahead.
I know, right? So, what do you say to the people who say, "Yeah, but Mike, by giving those jobs to people in the Philippines and in India, you're taking jobs away from Americans"?
What is this? It's like throwing raw meat in the piranha, right? Is this James Bond and Dr. Evil?
Oh yeah. No, I knew this would trigger you. So
oh my God. Why don't we tee that up? Why don't we tee up one of those Super Balls so I can knock it over the building? I mean, really, that is such idiocy. Are you kidding me? And you know what? The people who say that, I can tell you one thing. Now, we may disagree in politics. I'm not talking you and me, but that person who said, I hate Trump. I think he's an idiot. Okay, you love Trump. That's fine. Okay, we agree to disagree. But one thing is they don't own a small business. They don't own a farm. They don't own a factory. I mean, they're probably somebody whose job is to gin up fundraising. They specialize in enraging the mob so they can get donations. That's those. There's no fact on that. I mean, really. I'm not looking for open borders, but why don't we just have job camps for people in other countries and just say, yeah, well, come on in. You can come in, work visas, 6 months, 8 months. Special for doctors, this, that, specialized things, truck drivers, farm help. I mean, really, I would encourage that. And I know you would agree with me.
Yeah, I know a guy, I've worked with this guy for years and years. He owns a landscaping company. And one day I asked him, I said, Richard, why is all of your crew Mexicans? Like literally guys from Mexico. And he said, Mike, if I didn't have these guys, I wouldn't have a business. And I said, what do you mean? He's like, because I can't get Americans. I can't get people in Northeast Ohio to work for me and work this hard and also to work a seasonal job.
Exactly.
So these guys come here. Yes, these guys come here on work visas for 6, 7 months, whatever it is. They bust their butts, they make a bunch of money, and then they go home to Mexico where they live like kings. But he literally said, without these guys, he would not have a business.
Well, Mike, amusement parks, Cedar Point, you name an amusement park, you go there, 90% of the young people working there are from Poland, Albania, Slovakia, Croatia. They used to be coming in from Russia, in Ukraine and Georgia. I mean, these were student visas, student work. I mean, that's how Cedar Point survived. The irony of the economics, and this is a fact. Go on Google, people. If you don't believe me, go on Google and ask when you bring an immigrant in, he creates jobs. He's not taking jobs. Just look at it from a micro standpoint. Your landscaper guy, if he doesn't have Mexicans come in, he's out of business. And that'll ripple through the economy. He's not buying as much. He's not buying that lawnmower. He's not buying that, that is what has made America such a dynamic economy, is immigration. It's always been that way. Always.
And while they're here, they're consuming, they're eating food, they're staying in places, they're buying gasoline for the trucks, all that kind of stuff. But Mike, back to your amusement park note, I haven't been to an amusement park in so long, and I probably won't be going back anytime soon, because I just saw something that Cedar Point wants $52 for a small cheese pizza.
Forget it. Yeah. Yeah. And people pay for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, all right. Well, enough of market forces, hiring workers, this and that. You know what? We spent a lot of time after the crash, in 2009, 2010, it was all about getting jobs. It was all about getting jobs. People, were struggling. They were underwater. They couldn't tap into the home equity. There were a lot of bankruptcies out there. And you had to really work hard to keep your business afloat. Now you've got to work hard, but it's in a different direction. But the bottom line is you've got to be aware of the market forces and what's going on as you venture out on your own, either looking for a job. I like to think you're creating a job. If you go to you're looking for some employer to hire you, develop some empathy. If I'm looking for somebody, like you looking for somebody to list the house, you want to get their listings. You got to give them value. So your final thoughts, Mike.
Yeah, we come back to that whole value proposition thing over and over again, but it's because it's really the core of any business. It's not your prices. It's not. It's value. What of value do you have to provide to customers, and what need can you fill?
That's it. We'll end on that point. All right, Mike, I know you got a lot to do today. So
yeah, so teaser, it's June 30th, and that means tomorrow is July 1st, and that means heat check next week, right, Mike?
Heat check next week, and the firecrackers will be going off. All right, Mike, start assembling the statistics. All right?
I'm on it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk later.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast with Mike Reilly. Please add our show or follow us on Spotify, Overcast, Apple Podcast, or Spotify. Leave a like or comment on the video. All engagement is appreciated. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well for video content coming soon. For any Cleveland listeners or Cleveland Browns fans, you can check out our other podcast, Cleveland Browns Anonymous, for our weekly group therapy session. This is also on all the same platforms as the Cleveland Real Estate Investor.